تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد من الأنشطة.
What is the military impact of a multi-day pause?
The primary impact is that the IDF loses targetable intelligence. It starts to atrophy. The intelligence that they've gathered over the course of days in Gaza begins to crumble around them because over this pause, Hamas will resupply, reposition, do everything in their power to increase their security. And let there be no doubt, this is not being done by Hamas for any humanitarian reasons. This is a transaction to them. And I think we're at the point where the military's got a very, very tough decision to make. You're in Gaza, you're in Gaza, you're exposed, you've got Hamas all around you, still active in the tunnel network system. It's not been completely taken over by the Israelis by any means. And so these Israeli soldiers are targets. That's the challenge. And then at the end of a certain amount of time, as has been described, that 4 days could turn into 5 or to 6 days if they continue to move hostages back across into Israel. That becomes a very, very tough military task. The Israelis at that point are going to have to transition into a defensive posture. Pause is not a military term. You attack or you defend. They're going to have to start to defend. That changes the mission set entirely. This becomes a very, very difficult task for military commanders to execute.
לגבי הדוד מאמריקה, צריך להגיד לו תודה, באמת אהבה גדולה, אבל צריך להגיד לביידן, תשמע, אתה אם היה לך חטופים, היה לך נשים שם, היה לך ילדים, ואתה יודע שמתעללים בהם, אתה לא היית מכניס להם טיפת מים מינרליים. וכן, אנחנו צריכים לעמוד על שלנו, ודלק היה חייב להיות קו אדום, כי דלק זה כלי שמשמש את החמאס. אני לא קונה את זה שהדלק ילך לאונר"א, וילך לשמונר"א, וילך לכל מיני מקומות.
משאבות מים.
כן, בוא, אנחנו יודעים בדיוק לאן הדלק הזה הולך.
לא, כי אם המשאבות מים לא עובדות, אז אין מים.
לא, נהיית...
אתה רוצה שלא יהיו מים לזאטים?
בוא,
אני שואל אותך.
אני אגיד, הטענה, ואני לא רוצה יותר מדי לפרט, הייתה שלא בגלל המים, אלא שיכול להיות שהם יגרד להם ושיהיה קינים. ריבונו של עולם, שיהיה קינים, שיגרד, עד שאני לא יודע מה עם התינוקות שלי, שיהיו כולם שם בקינים. נקודה. נקודה, פשוט מאוד.
Sverige och EU står enat i att Israel har rätt till försvar inom
Har Israel rätt att begå folkmord? Du borde skämmas, yrkessäsong. Du borde skämmas. Det är 6 000 barn som är döda. 6 000 barn. Du måste skämmas. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! You see what happened down there? And you come with your smile. Shame on you! 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 Jag har blod på händerna!
Tack, Dalila.
Du representerar inte oss längre! Du har dubbelmoral! Du står inte längre för mänskliga rättigheter! Du representerar inte oss! Innan det var ett symbol för fred. Sverige var ett symbol för fred.
The Arab nations are doing right now. They're like, you know, Erdogan is coming out, all these Jordan, they're all coming out, the Saudis, Qatar, they're all coming out and they're like, horrific war crimes, you must be tried at the International Criminal Court. We must file a petition, a lawsuit at the International Criminal Court to try Benjamin Netanyahu and his genocidal forces at the International Criminal Court. So, you know, they're just, it's a lot of talk. And what do? Do they step up to the table and say, if you blow up one more hospital, we're coming in with our military. If you blow up one more refugee camp, we're going to be entering this war. If you airstrike one more school, we're going to have to respond. No, what they do is they say, hey, Israel, look, If you could, let's pause on the civilian atrocities. I know there's 5,000 civilians dead. Pause on the civilian atrocities for 4 hours. These people you're bombing, they're hungry. We need to feed them a little bit. Let's give them some expired, aid, some expired food, expired, Cliff Bars or something. Let's give them some expired food, then go back to your bombing, okay? All right. Sounds good. Thank you. That's all they do. They're like, okay, they're hungry. The reason why these people are suffering is because they're hungry, not because they're being bombed left and right, not because you have 5,000 dead children, 12,000 dead civilians. The real problem is they're just a little hungry. They're just a little hungry. That's all. So it's the same thing, really. But I think it's even bigger slap in the face when it's the Arab nations who profess to care about this, profess to, stand against the genocide, and then really go along with it, still supply oil to Israel, lots of oil to Israel, and it's very sad.
What is Al-Aqsa? It's a holy place in Jerusalem, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, third holiest place in Islam. Why would Hamas have to name an operation Al-Aqsa flood? Could it be because the Israelis had, for the past months, years, been desecrating the third holiest shrine in Islam? Could it be that the Israelis were disrupting Islamic worshippers? Throwing tear gas into a mosque? Beating up women? Bullying men? Maybe that's why it happened. The Saudi Arabians were talking about normalizing relations with the Israelis. They had forgotten about their precondition, about the necessity of a Palestinian state existing. Oh, we'll talk about it. No one's going to talk about it. Because once you normalize relations, it all becomes about the money, the money, the money.
So why don't we occupy certain parts of Saudi Arabia? And why doesn't Israel occupy certain parts of Saudi Arabia to save these Saudis? What I see happening here is a political trend. Return to Mecca means the return of the Israelites to Mecca, Medina, and Mount Sinai. The borders of Israel will go down from Lebanon all the way to Mecca and Medina.
הירידה והחסימה שבסוף.
פגעתי בה! תפגעו אותם! בי! זרוק את הנשק! זרוק את הנשק! צא החוצה! שכב על הרצפה! שכב! יש עוד אחד! זרוק את הנשק! צא!
I will burn their city to the ground. Yeah. And I will find every rat hole that they hide in. And I will drop down enough explosives to scare God on that. I do not see men. I do not see soldiers. I see lions. I see a pride of hungry lions. Well, let me tell you a promise, gentlemen. A promise that I give to you before God Almighty. It is hunt season in Gaza. And you will all be well fed before this is done.
الله يمسيك بالخير يا حاج.
الله يمسيك بالخير والسعادة.
احنا قاعدين مش متزحزحين منه.
ولا حنتزحزح، والله لو بدهم يجيبوا بي 35 كمان يضربونا ما نطلع من هالبلاد. ايش ما تسووا على الفاضي، لأنه البلاد بلادنا. وعلى الفاضي تجيبوا اساطيل، تجيبوا طيران، تجيبوا كاسحات الغام على الفاضي.
رغم القصف وهدوا بيتك حنضلنا في البيت موجودين.
رغم القصف ورغم هدوا بيتي برضه حضل في بيتي.
الله
مش حطلع من بيتي.
الله يقويك يا حاج.
والله ما بطلع الا غير جدتي حامده.
الله يقويك.
ان شاء الله لغير ننتصر عليكم.
يا رب.
قلت لا.
يا رب.
حتى لو الدول العربيه والدول الاوروبيه تآمرن معكم برضه على الفاضي، لانه احنا اصحاب الحق.
واحنا اصحاب الارض.
واحنا اصحاب الارض. ودمرتوها حنعاود نبنيها.
حنعمرها يا حاج.
قتلتوا الشجره برضه حنعاود نزرعها وتطلع، وان شاء الله ناكل من ثمرها.
يا رب.
وان شاء الله حننتصر عليهم.
الله يديك الصحة.
آجلا وآجلا ان شاء الله.
الله يديك الصحة.
So let me get this straight. If Israel can claim Palestine as their ancestral land, does that mean us Mexicans, we can claim our ancestral land back in the States that literally used to belong to us Mexicanos? Let me remind you, San Francisco, San Jose, Santa Rosa, San Mateo, Santa Cruz, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, San Diego, San Leandro, son pendejos.
الله مش مقصرين فيها الشباب، كسرة مدمرة.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.